Hello everyone, in this video we will learn how to create forms in React. So we will be designing a small form with two inputs and one button to submit that form. So let's create that form. First, let's create a component file for that particular form. Create a new file in the source directory. Let's name it form.js. First, let's create a class component over here. So first import React libraries. Now let's create a class component. Let's give it name form, which will extends react.component. Now it will contain a render function. Okay, so it will return us a division which will contain our form. So write form tag. Inside this we will create two input boxes. So we will be using Bootstrap to style our input boxes. So let's create a division. Inside that division we will create our input box. So take input element with type text. Let's give it some placeholder. You can write anything. Let's write enter your name. Okay, so let's give it some Bootstrap class. So to give class we use class name, and inside it let's give some Bootstrap class form control. Okay, and to this division we can give class form group. So these are some Bootstrap classes to style your form, in a beautiful way. So let's create one more input, and that input will be for let's create it for password. So in this input box we will enter password, so its type will be password, and placeholder will be enter your password. Okay, cool. Let's save it and let's see what we have got on our web page. First, don't forget to export it. So write export default and name of your component, which is form. Now save everything and let's import this component and use it in our app.js. So let's clean everything that we have got in our app.js, and inside render we will only show our form component. Okay, so just write form. Okay, that's it. Also import it here, right? Import form from its address, which is Now save your work and let's see whether we are getting our form in a web page or not. So we are getting input boxes for name and password. So let's give it some styling because right now it's not looking good. So you can give inline styling or you can give styles in a separate file. So there's a file name as app.css. You can also give styles here. You can also write classes over here. So let's give it class form container. Okay, let's style this class in app.css. So you can leave all these CSS. If you don't want, you can just delete it. Now in this, what we're going to do is we're going to style this particular class. So copy this class name and write it over here. So we want width to be, let's say, 400 pixels, and height we want, let's keep it auto, and let's give it margin 0 auto. Okay, top margin, let's say it's 20 pixels. Okay, let's see what we have got now. So we have got our form in a middle. Let's also give some border to this form. So write border and then 1 pixel solid black. Okay, cool. It's not looking that good, so give it some light blue and give some padding to this form. Let's give it 10 pixels. Okay, now it's looking good. Now let's have a button in this form and also some heading. So let's give some heading to this form. Take h1 or h2 tag. So submission form. Okay, you can give it any name. Okay, cool. Let's take it h4. It's looking quite big. Yeah, now it's good. Let's take a button to submit our form. So you can write submit, and this button will have class, we will use bootstrap classes, so it's button primary. Okay, let's save it. So yeah, we've got a button. Now what we're going to do is, when we click on this button, we will show some alert boxes. Let's do that. So you can create on click handler on this button, and when this button is clicked, let's associate one function to this. You can write handleSubmit. So let's create this function. So write handleSubmit, and this function will take one parameter which is by default passed to this function when you submit a form, or when you click on a button. This event parameter always gets passed by default. So you can write event dot prevent default. So what this line will do, when you will submit the form, it will not refresh the form. Okay, it will keep the page static. So that's the benefit of this. Okay, now let's log something to the console that it's clicked, to just make sure that whether our button is working or not. Okay, handleSubmit is not defined. Okay, yeah, you need to write over here this dot handleSubmit, because we are writing all this in a class. Okay, now save everything and let's see. Okay, now let's open our console and let's see whether our button is working or not. So yeah, it's working. Now what we want to do is, we want to write something inside it. Okay, so let's associate some value to this so that we can store that value. So you can write value, and let's give some name. So first let's create states to store values that we will be writing in input boxes. Okay, because when we will be submitting the form, we want to show a value that user has entered in input boxes in an alert. So let's create first state. So you can write this dot state equals to, okay, don't write this because we are not inside the function. So we will be creating two states. First will be for storing our name. So you can write name. Initially it will be empty, and second will be for password. Okay, cool. Now associate these states with the value attribute in input boxes. You can write this dot state dot name, and similarly you can write value equals to this dot state dot password. Yeah, save it. Now one problem that you will face here, like you won't be able to write anything here. As you can see, I'm not able to write anything inside it. So this is a default behavior in React. So what happens is, these input boxes they have their own state, so we can't control that state. Only input box will be able to control its state. So this value is acting like a state for this input box, so only input box can change this value. We can't change that value. Okay, so we need to create one function over here which will help this input box to change its own state. Okay, so let's create a function. So we will pass onChange handler to this, and let's pass one function here. You can give it any name. I'm giving it handleChange. Okay, so just copy it and let's paste it over here also. Now let's create this function. So write handleChange, and it will also contain event parameter. Now what we will do is, we will get the value that user has written in this input box, and we will store that value in this state. Okay, so first we will write some conditions, that if event dot, or you can also do it directly. You can just write this dot set state, and inside it you want to update event dot target dot name. Okay, it will be event dot target dot value. Okay, cool. It's giving us some error. Let me see. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, or you can do one thing. Let's store this in some variable. Let, or 1 minute, const name and value equals to event dot target. Okay, so okay, let's delete this thing. Okay, so in this line what we are doing is, from event dot target object we are extracting name and value, and now we just wanna update the name and we want to assign value to this. Okay, I know you might not understand this syntax right now, so let me tell you. First let's associate name attribute to these input boxes. You can give the same name here that we have assigned in the state. So assign name to the input box and password to the password input box. So in name attribute, keep the same name that you have got in your state, and similarly here, and password, give the name attribute to the same variable that you have kept for the state, that is password. Okay, so now in handle change, what we want to do is, we want to update the state according to the value that user has passed in input box. Okay, so these lines will do that. Now let's save it and let's see whether it is working or not. So okay, handle change is not defined. Okay, yeah, you need to write here this dot handle change. So just don't forget that, because we are using class component. Okay, now save everything, and now as you can see we will be able to write. So some problem is there, let me see. Okay, 1 second, we are getting some error. Okay, yeah, that's the same error that we were getting in the previous video. You need to bind this particular event with this property of the class. So first create a constructor. Okay, so you need to do this for each and every function that you will be using. So you can write this dot handle change, this dot handle change dot bind this. Okay, so now this error will not come, because you know this is a very strange behavior with functions that happens in class. So don't forget to bind every function that you will be creating in a class with this attribute of a class. Okay, so save it, and now as you can see we will be able to type. And yeah, so whatever you are typing, this is okay. Yeah, for password it's not working correctly, let me check, but for name it is working. Okay, cool. Now for password, why it's not working, let me check. Okay, let's first of all let me check whether we are getting correct or not. Let's log it to the console to check whether we are getting correct name of input box or not. Okay, open the console and let's check. Okay, we are getting the correct name, that's cool. Yeah, we are also getting the same thing. Okay, okay, we are getting like correct name of our input boxes, but still we are not able to set the state. Why it is happening, let me check. It should work, but it's not working. What is happening? Okay, so there was okay, so small error was there. So actually it was not able to set the state, because we have directly written here that we want to update this particular state. So you need to use here these braces around the name of your state, then it will work correctly. So let's check it. So now if you refresh your page, and yeah, as you can see we are able to enter the name input box, and we are also able to enter the password input box. Now when we click on submit, we want to show these values in a alert box. So let's do that. So what you can do is in handle submit, you can write alert, and you can write any message over here. So let's write hello, your name is So you can use this dollar notation with the curly braces to access that variable. So you can write this dot state dot, so in name we have stored our name, and you can write and your password is dollar curly braces this dot state dot password. So yeah, let's check it whether it is working or not. So let's write something, let's submit it. Okay, we are getting some error, state of undefined. Okay, yeah, for this also you need to bind this function with this of class. Okay, so you just copy this line and paste it again and change the name of the function. So yeah, this happens with each and every function that you use in class. It's not able to access this property of class. Sometimes it happens. So yeah, so now it will be able to work. Let's save it, and yeah, let's do the same thing. Let's write some name here and password, and let's submit it. So yeah, hello, your name is Yash and password is this. So it's working correctly. So yeah, in this way you can create form in React, and you can store these values that user is entering in these input boxes in some kind of state, and you can pass that value when you are clicking on submit to your database or whatever you're doing. Okay, so cool. So let's recap what we have done in this video. So we created this form, and we assigned this name attribute with each input boxes, and we also assigned this onChange and this value attribute with all the input boxes. So with this, what happens is we are trying to store whatever value user is entering in the input box in this particular state. Similarly, for this input box, we are trying to store password in this state. And in React, it is a default behavior of forms that whenever you try to enter in form, input boxes, they don't get update because they have their own state. So you need to pass this onChange function with each input boxes so that you can see whatever user is writing, you can see that on your form. Okay, so in handleChange, what we are doing, we are just updating the state so that it will re-render that form, and you will be able to see what user has entered in a form. And this handleSubmit is just showing the alert box with this text, and it is showing that what user has entered. So yeah, that's cool. Okay, so if you have any doubt, just ask me in the comments. Thank you, and see you in the next video.